try to silence the truth we shout, but we're still here, we're still calling out. Corruption hides behind a badge and name. We light the fire, expose the shame. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life mattered is the cry we sing for the ones they tried to bury within. It's just us, we're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run nor hide. The stories echo, the pain runs deep. For stolen lives we can't just weep. Elected power, but their hearts are cold. We'll bring the truth, let it be told. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life mattered is the cry we sing for the ones they tried to bury within. It's just us, we're movement wide. Together we rise, won't run nor hide. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight. The heroes undo the harm. Calling out corruption, we'll stand tall for justice and truth, we'll risk it all. My life mattered is the cry we sing. Together we rise, let freedom ring.
Hello, good evening. Welcome, social change warriors, justice seekers, and advocates for those who have lost their lives by the hands of someone else. So glad to have you back on a Wednesday for our advocacy night, the night that we support and advocate for women who have lost their lives. And we advocate and support their families. There is nothing worse. There can be nothing worse than losing a loved one by the hands of someone else. Most of these incidents, these homicides, these horrible losses of life could have been prevented. And that's what makes it so, so horrible. We know there's things that happen in life that can't be prevented. Cancer, for the most part, can be prevented, but can it really? We try, we do our best, but we lose loved ones to cancer. I lost my dear father. We've all lost someone to disease and cancer, but losing someone in a tragic, vicious, violent homicide that could have been prevented, that should have never happened, because no one should ever lose their life because of someone else, because of the way they felt about us or the way they say we made them feel. It's horrific and it's tragic, but it's happening. It's been happening and it will continue to happen. So we, the social change warriors and justice seekers, we are here to support families who have lost loved ones in this horrible, horrific manner. And I am lucky enough and proud enough to have this wonderful community of subscribers that have now become my friends and advocates. And we work together every week to try to make the journey to peace a little bit easier for those that have lost someone, whether it be by going over their police reports with them, studying them, helping them make sense of them where the police just didn't, or maybe helping them find justice if they feel they didn't get it. Maybe we find something that no one else found or that no one else saw. Or we're just a comfort. We're just a comfort because we care enough about everybody's life that we want to honor those that were taken too soon, too early, and completely unnecessarily by violence. So thank you, everyone. I'm Catherine Felton Page, and I am the founder and the host of Social Change Warriors. It's my honor to get to work with the families who have lost a loved one due to violence. And it's my honor to get to know you and to lead us in this community of justice seekers and advocates. There's not enough of us out there in the world, and that makes me mad. So I kind of sideline our advocacy bees to the Angry Bitch Club some weeks, because some Wednesdays we just need to bitch. And we do swear a little bit on Wednesdays. Sorry, everyone. We try not to use too bad of words because we just don't, we want to be sensitive to everyone. Not everyone loves swear words or uses them. And I understand that. But there are times when we are talking about the loss of life of a mother, and in this instance, a child, that is so unnecessary and was so violent that it makes us so mad that sometimes we need to be the Angry Bitch Club, not the advocacy bees. So tonight will be a little bit of both. We'll be the advocacy bees and we'll also be the Angry Bitch Club, because the loss of life of Mallery Major and her dear, sweet 3-year-old child, Major Harris, makes me mad. It makes my blood boil. It makes me cry. It makes me everything. And so I have to put up my sunflowers for a minute because this is going to be a tough night. And I want to do a little trigger alert for all of those of you joining us tonight. Thank you. Welcome back. If you've been here before, you're always welcome. I'll put my email in the comment section. You're welcome to comment and make any suggestions. Constructive criticism is always welcome. And those of you that are new tonight, that are friends and family of Mallery and Major and Mary and Mallory's father and brother and biological mother and family, welcome. And you have my absolute deepest condolences. I am so sorry for what you have had to go through. There's nothing worse. There's just nothing worse. So I had this taken in Madison near my mother's house a few years ago. A friend of mine wanted to take photos with his new camera, and he was nice enough to take some shots of me in a sunflower field. Sunflower fields make me happy and they cheer me up. I even have a beautiful print of a sunflower that says, sometimes you have to make your own happiness. And that is the absolute truth, isn't it? So tonight, like I said, this is a little bit of a trigger alert for tonight, because we are going to be talking about a very tragic homicide, a double homicide, brutal, violent. And I just want to let you all know this is going to be very hard and very difficult, and especially on the family. Mallory's mother, one of her mothers, she has a biological mother, and she was fortunate enough to have a lovely non-biological mother. Her stepmother is with us tonight. And this is going to be hard and difficult. I've been studying their case now for quite a while, this week and last week, especially reading more of the police reports and sadly the autopsies, which is just horrific. And no parent or grandparent should ever have to do that. And this will be a hard night. So I'm going to be bringing Mary up on the stage. She was Mallory's stepmother. She still is, obviously, in her heart of hearts. And just a reminder, we are an advocacy channel. We advocate for victims of homicide. On Wednesdays, primarily victims of domestic violence homicide, but we will take other cases if the family needs us and they're being overlooked by the mainstream media or by other, obviously the big channels. We're here to get more advocacy and more attention on your cases the best we can. We are a completely volunteer channel. I do not get paid to do this. This is my retirement volunteer job, and I love it. I love helping families. I don't love it that I have to know you. I wish I didn't know you. If I didn't know you, your person would be alive, and that would be my ultimate, that I wouldn't have to have this channel, that I would could have a cooking channel, or I could have a vacation channel, teach people how to go on vacation better. Anything but this. But this is a calling for me after being a police officer and a social worker. this is a calling for me to work with you in my volunteer way as an advocate. So we do take donations to help us with program costs. There are costs to run this channel. So I do take donations, but only for program costs. I don't keep any of the money for myself. And that I'll put that up at the end. I have a Cash App and a Venmo. But again, we primarily 99% do this out of the goodness of our hearts, because I have people that will help me look up cases and help me decipher cases. I phone a friend all the time, former police officer friends of mine, former social workers. I run your cases by people, and they're all volunteers. They're all helping me. I don't pay any of them to help me either. On occasion, I have paid people, but it's very rare. I only do it when I can afford to do it. But sometimes I need to. I need that extra help. So I have paid people for certain services, but for the most part, we don't pay anyone to help us, and I don't get paid to help the families. And that's how I want to keep it. So welcome again back to another Wednesday where we stand with victims of domestic homicide and survivors of domestic homicide, the families. So we do have some survivors that have come on our Wednesday shows and told their stories, their harrowing stories of surviving an attack. We do welcome them, and those are hard to hear, and we welcome them anytime on our channel on Wednesdays. Fridays is our night to cover trials that we're interested in. We were covering the death of John O'Keefe in Canton, Massachusetts, and we will continue to advocate for justice for John O'Keefe. His case has never been solved because the wrong person was arrested. And we covered her 2 trials, Karen Reed, and she is now free and has been acquitted. So we will continue that on Friday nights. There's other bizarre things going on in the state of Massachusetts, so that keeps us pretty busy on Friday nights. But we do cover other trials that we see fit to cover as well on Friday night. So I hope you'll consider joining us once in a while on a Friday night and or a Wednesday night. So thank you everyone for being here. I'd like to bring Mary Jo up to the platform with me and introduce you to her. And then we will start our conversation on her dear daughter and her grandson. Hi, Mary.
Hi.
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay. Your wheel's wheeling a little bit, but it's okay. It happens with the internet, but we can see you and we can hear you. So
you can.
Thank you for being here, and thanks for being brave enough to continue to ask questions, because a lot of times, and it's not even.
I don't know what's going on with my laptop. Was that mine or yours? It was making a weird noise. I don't know what that was about.
That might be yours. I think I'm good on my end. I don't hear any static or feedback. So if it gets to be a problem, you can always leave and come back with your, we lost her. Yeah, I think she's got bumped out on the internet. I'm going to send her a text, guys. Give me just a second. Thanks for your patience. Sometimes we get these tech issues because tech isn't perfect. So give me just a second. I'm going to pop back down here to my phone for just a minute and see if she wants to come on with trying it on her phone app. Let me send her a message. I'll just the phone app usually works a lot better for people sometimes than the actual laptop if you don't have a studio. For studio purposes, I use the laptop. But when I was just a guest on some other folks' live streams, I was just using my phone. And StreamYard has a great app. I'll just try your phone app for StreamYard. I'll be right back with you guys. I'm going to give you the background while we're trying to get Mary back in. I don't necessarily need her to listen to it for the millionth time. It's so painful and for her, I know that. So let me remove this and let's go back up here, and I will share the background on what we know of that happened with Mallery and her son Major. And I'll wait to hear back from Mary, and hopefully we'll get her back. If we can't get her back with video, we will call her and we will put the phone up and you will hear her just fine, and we will talk with her that way. So Mallery Munzenberger was a mother, and she was a young woman who was trying to get started in life, working. Oh, here we go. Let's try to add her to the stage again. See if we can get her in here. Are you back, Mary? I hear her popping in, but Let me try to add her back up to the stage. Oh, it says device not connected. Okay, so she's having some connectivity issues. I'm just going to let her know that. So stand by, everybody. We really want to try to get her in here because she has a lot of insight that I don't have yet, that I haven't read every single word of 500 pages of police reports yet, and I know that she has. So let me try to see if I can get her to try her phone. Takes a pretty strong Wi-Fi signal to go on a live stream. That's why sometimes you get a stronger signal when you're on your actual phone than when you're trying it on a laptop. So we'll give her, obviously we're gonna give her as much time as she needs to in order to come back in. So I'm just going to keep trying to get her into the stage. And in the meantime, I'll keep sharing with you guys the background. Like I said, Mallery was a young woman just getting started in life, really, right in her late 20s when this occurred, early 30s, possibly. I don't exactly remember her exact age when it happened. And she had a 3-year-old son named Major, and he was just doing all the great stuff that toddlers do. And I have to tell you, my interaction with Mary has been beautiful and so sad and tragic, but also beautiful. The resilience and the strength of this family. And I haven't spoken with Major's family yet, but I'm sure that they have had to have the same level of resilience and strength that Mallery's family has had to have. And we'll get to this in a minute. The man that was accused of ending their lives, of ending Mallery and Major's life, there was never any, I guess I want to say, real total proof, because this person unalived themselves, and that family has suffered, and that family doesn't believe that he had anything to do with this. So this is a situation that's going to need 2 live streams. We won't be able to talk about all of it tonight, but we will do our best and to get as much information across to you tonight as we can, and then we will have a second session with Mary, and I'll go over more in detail the twists and turns, the backstory of this case. So the clicking you're hearing is Mary trying to get in. So I keep trying to allow her entrance, but it just keeps saying device not connected. So that's frustrating. I'm so sorry, Mary. I'm going to take and remove her from the studio, the other tries, because sometimes that will prohibit her from getting back in too. So I got rid of the other ones. Thanks, guys, for bearing with us during the technical issue. It gets a little difficult sometimes when you're streaming. So as I said in the description for tonight's live stream, we have 2 homicides. We have one self-inflicted, self-unaliving. Not allowed, supposed to not say this S word anymore on YouTube. I don't understand all the ins and outs of not using the English language. I go over this every time because it frustrates me that we cannot use the English language. And I don't understand it, because bottom line is a word is a word. And the longer we say unalived themselves, or unalived instead of the M word, which is murder, that then becomes as atrocious as the actual word that we're not right now not allowed to say on YouTube. So YouTube, please get your together. And it is Wednesday and I can swear. So YouTube, get your shit together, because these are words in the English language to describe when someone takes the life of someone else. It's called murder, YouTube. And unaliving yourself, that's been called the S word for a very long time. So they need to figure things out, because that's just makes absolutely zero sense to me. I don't know how you guys all feel about that, but come on. We have words. They're in the dictionary. They're there for a reason. I plan to use them until they tell me I can't and they try to take my channel from me. So I'll be as patient with YouTube as I can. I'll use these words they make me use, but I won't like it. All right. So 2 homicides, one self-inflicted unaliving of themselves, and one suspect earns immunity, which is the twist in this horrible double homicide of Mallery Munzenberger and Major Harris. This homicide happened in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And my questions that I have and that I put up are: what caused the violent deaths of 2 young adults and 1 child? Is the person who took the lives of Mallery and Major still out there? Are they living their best life? Are they free? Was Jaheem Clark wrongfully accused after his death? Did he have something to do with it, but not the totality to do with it? He was involved somehow because they were there. They were going to his home. They were seen near his home. So there was some involvement, but was it the full involvement of the unalivings? I have yet to make that determination. I'm not through all the police reports yet. I'm working on that to give my full opinion. So, and then of course I always respect all of you for any opinions that you might have or feelings that you might have about what happened to Mallery and Major. And that's been one of the main concerns and problems for, I believe, Major's family as well, from what I could read in Facebook posts from a few years ago. I have yet to find a contact number for Major's biological father or grandparents or aunts and uncles, but I would like to. I would love to have them here on the show live with me and speaking their opinions. I would love to speak with Jaheem's family as well. So I'm working on all that. So this is an ever evolving case study right now that we're doing. So Mallery was found shot to death. Outside, her body was found in the backyard. Again, trigger alert. This is very difficult information that we're talking about and sharing. And I have to treat it somewhat like if I was still a police officer, or if I was the social worker working with the police on this case. So sometimes I might sound a little cold now as I'm reading these case details. Trust me, I'm not. I cried a lot the last few weeks reading this case. But I'm trying to think now like a former officer would, like I am a retired police officer and social worker, to try to figure out what could have happened to this young woman and why the police have cut off the families. That's really concerning to me when that happens. I've had it happen to me with a family here in Florida as well. The police won't speak to the family anymore because they feel they're asking too many questions, putting too much pressure, not accepting what they want them to accept. And I find that to be just egregious. I mean, the police should never cut off contact with a family. Never. You're getting paid to help a family understand what happened to their loved one. And you investigated the scene. You investigated the case. No one knows the answers more than you do. If the case is considered solved, it's not open any longer, then help them understand how you solved it and why you came to the conclusions that you did. Hi, nice to see you. Let's see here. Rotobin 8771. Welcome to Social Change Warriors. Worst case scenario, she could call you on her phone and you could put her on speaker. Yes, that's what we did when I primarily introduced her a couple of weeks ago. So I'm just giving it another minute. She says she's on my phone. I hear you. Won't let me unmute. Okay. Wow, that's crazy. Okay, maybe you're not on. So yeah, Mary, if you can hear me, you're probably just an audience member right now. You need to use that link that I sent you to your email. So let me send that link to your actual phone here. I think you're just in the audience, which is why it's probably not letting you unmute. So let me try to get you into the background. I'm going to send you the link that I emailed you, which is the one to get on the platform with me. So stand by just for a minute, everybody. And we'll try to get you back on. Otherwise, I will just call you because that is fine. And we can talk because that works just as fine. And that's fine with me. So let me try to get you in the room one more time. We're going to try with the link here. I'm going to text it to you. And then you should just be able to tap on it right from your phone. And then that should bring you into the platform. So I'm going to invite you. And let me know when you get it, or you can text me. Now she says, it says I'm backstage. Well, that's interesting because, hang on, let me try. Okay, I clicked on that one before and it wouldn't let you in. Okay, let's try it again. Maybe I can get you back.
You're in the show. It says I'm in the show. Hello?
Oh, you're in the show. You made it.
I was going to say, it says I'm in the show. Why can't you hear me?
All right. I couldn't get that link to open a few minutes ago, so I just went on just telling everybody the background a little bit. I
was hearing it, and so good, I do appreciate that. And I don't know what's going on here because it wouldn't let me unmute my phone because I tried to go on my phone and it wouldn't let me unmute it, but I could,
Well, you're clear. You're clear as a bell now. So this is great. This is great.
Let's keep our fingers crossed.
Yes. But, glitches happen and we just keep on going through. Now, what's bad is when glitches happen in my production room, because then I would have to close the show down and we'd have to send out a new link. And we don't want to do any of that because that takes too much time. But luckily, we haven't had those in a really long time. StreamYard is very reliable for the most part. And so is YouTube. that's what we use to broadcast, but StreamYard is my production room. So thank you, Rotobin. I appreciate your help a lot. But I have used my phone to call people many times, and that's really, that does help too when you get in a tech issue. So as I was saying, this happened at the residence of Jaheem, correct, Mary?
Yes, that's where they found Mallery in the backyard.
And again, we're not positive that it happened at the residence because there was blood residue found in her vehicle.
Yes.
It's possible it happened somewhere else and they brought her to that residence.
Yes.
And that's even more concerning to me. And I'll tell you why. It's more concerning to me because what person who has a moment of either panic and decides to unalive Mallery and then later her child, or in self-preservation decides to unalive Mallery and later her child, and then brings her back to his mother's home where he's living with his mother and puts her in the backyard. That literally makes no sense to me, Mary.
Well, I agree with you there. I guess where I'm seeing where my mind's going with it from hearing is because Jaheem texted saying that she was dropped off there, and I know she was beat up. I feel like she was beat up, put in the back of the car, taken to his place, dropped off. She went upstairs, laid down. That's why he had blood on the bed, and then got up and left again because to go get Major. That's where my mind's going. Okay. I don't know.
Right. I mean, that's the problem is I don't believe the police knew either because there was no really way to prove where she was prior to her no longer being alive.
Correct.
So that's been the tough part for the family is really not knowing. And again, Major was reported missing shortly after his mother was discovered, and that prompted the Amber Alert. But you have told me, Mary, that when they came to your door, they didn't know at that time that Major was missing. Is that correct?
That is correct. Mallery was found on October 14th at 6 a.m. in the back of Jaheem's parents' or mom's house. They came to our house at 2:30 a.m. on Saturday, so almost 2 days later.
So 2 days went by
before,
and when they came to your house, they led you to believe they didn't know about Major being missing for 2 days?
They did not know. They did not know because they showed us a picture of Mallery. She was beaten up. And so we're like, where's Major? Where's Major? And they're like, who's Major? I'm like, that's her son. Where's Major? And that's when the Amber Alert went out, when they found out that Major was missing.
So what were they doing for 2 days that it took them 2 days to do a death notification to a family?
I have no idea. That's always been very, looking through the records, it says that they found paperwork in Jaheem's room, which would have been on the 14th. They said that she was identified off of Facebook because she had a tattoo. So we have no idea. And that's been very, very hard on us.
All right. I'm going to take some notes. You and I have spoken quite a bit. We've texted quite a bit, but I am going to take some notes, everyone. So this is a working session. So it's not like our Friday nights, which is mostly all presentation and talking. This is Wednesdays are working sessions. So we do pause to take notes. So I'm going to try my best. I don't know if anybody will call me back, but this is part of what I do. I contact the police who investigated the case. I've done this here in Florida with 2 county sheriffs. I've done it with police departments. I try to get a live person to talk to me. I don't like to just request police reports or just request photos or autopsy. I like to actually talk to a human being if they're willing to call me back. Now, I've had about 80% good fortune so far. I've had 80% of law enforcement call me back when I explain to them that I'm a former law enforcement social worker, that I work with families to advocate for them to find more peace than what they're finding now, and that I need to have some questions answered to help the families.
They got a lot of calls. They had a lot of calls from me. A lot of calls. Probably not documented back then, but they got a lot of them, like every other day.
I am sure. So you were notified on the 16th.
Yes.
And who came to your door? Who did that notification?
La Crosse County Police Department. I guess I didn't have the name. We were just, when we seen that, I'm like, I'm trying to hold back a 90-pound dog at lab at night, 2:30 in the morning, and our heads were just spinning. We were in total shock.
Oh, I know. I can't even imagine the shock that would go through you hearing something like this. And now you don't. Now, here's my thought. Is it possible that La Crosse was either not, the office was not told that Milwaukee did know that Major was also missing, or that the person who came out to do the notification did not bother to read that there was also a child involved that was missing?
They didn't know. He didn't know. He when he showed us the picture, it was a black and white picture. We were in total denial. We're like, no, that's not her. That's not her. And he said that, they know it's her, that I need to call the detective in Milwaukee. So when I called the detective in Milwaukee, I just asked him, I said, where's her son? Well, first they said it was her, Mallery. And I said, where's her son? Where's Major? And they're like, what? There was she had a son with her. So they didn't know. So the guy the police officer that came to our door did not know that she had a child with her.
That's unacceptable, number one. So absolutely unacceptable if Milwaukee effed up, sorry to swear in that way, but if Milwaukee screwed up and didn't tell La Crosse, or if La Crosse, who took the call and sent the officers to your door, didn't tell the officers, but somebody at La Crosse knew, no matter what, it's a major royal screw up, because this puts you, the family, who is already in major distress and despair, even in more distress and despair. Because you're like, what do you mean you don't know anything about her, the child? Where's my grandson? I mean, right. This is just unacceptable. So I'm definitely.
I don't understand. Like I said, it was 2 days later. I don't understand how all the investigation that was done supposedly in 2 days, that they didn't realize there was a child with her. I mean, at Jaheem's, they said that they heard a child running around, and I don't know. I really don't know. It's so hard.
It's so hard.
So many unanswered questions.
Exactly. And that's what we're going to try to do. But you and I and anyone else I recruit to help me, we're going to try to get you these answers. I can't promise I can, but I'm going to do my best.
But we appreciate you talking to us, because that we did not have.
I'm grateful to get to meet you and know you, and especially you're from my home state, Wisconsin. I love my home state. I live in Florida a lot of the time now, but I'm always going to be a Wisconsin girl. So and all of you out there that I'm advocating for, I care for you all so much as well. But I think we all understand, and especially those who are with me that have been with me through the Karen Reed trial and the death of John O'Keefe, police officer John O'Keefe. I have immense care and concern for that case. And I'm not a Massachusetts. I'm not from Massachusetts. I'm not from Canton, but I care. And so we can care. We don't have to be from the town or from the city. But when it does happen in our own state where we're from, or our own city, it hits home a little bit different, a little bit harder. And so when I learned about what happened with Mallery, and you and I met via, I think it was Facebook, right?
It was Facebook. I seen you comment on somebody else. I was looking at a missing persons thing. You commented on it saying that you were retired police officer trying to help victims, of domestic abuse, the families get justice. And so I messaged on your page asking if I could ask you some questions.
That's right. And we had, I ended up getting food poisoning, which really messed us up because we got behind schedule. I was hoping to have had you on in October, but things got crazy for me. I got food poisoning and I had to move. And so, but I'm just grateful that I've had the time to slowly read about what happened to Mallery Major. And I'm also from Madison, Wisconsin, which is where your grandson is actually laid to rest. So I do, with your permission, I would like to visit his gravesite the next time I'm home with my family. I go back and forth all the time. So I'd like to take a little something. I have it. Where did I have it? I put it here to show you now. I'm probably not going to be able to find it. Oh, shoot. I'll look for it when we take our stretch break. I have a little lamb that my sister gave me. me. It's just tiny, but I'm hoping I'm going to try to put it somewhere where it won't get blown away because it's so small. But I do want to leave it there for you, and I'll let you know when I do that. I'm probably going home for Christmas, and it'll be cold and wintry. I may wait to leave the lamb till the spring. I'll see how bad the weather looks because it's a little white lamb, and if it gets lost in the snow, it'll be lost. So we may it's a lot different when you're buried outside. You can't always do what you want to do gravesite, but I will visit him, say my hellos to Major's soul, and I'll let you know when I do that.
There was one other thing I just kind of wanted to add about all this with Major. It's like when he went missing, they contacted us at 2:30, or was when they found out. At 4:30 they went to the biological dad's house in Madison, his mom's house in Madison. For some reason, she would not let him in at 4:30, told him come back at noon. So they did not search that house at that time. They did come to our house at 10:30 that night, asking to search our house. And we're like, so yes, they came in our house and they searched our closets and they searched under our beds and they went up in our chicken coop and they went down in our storage shed or our wood shed and they went in our garage. They searched every inch of our house.
Oh my God. When did this happen, this search? Did you say later on the 16th?
Yes, it was at 10:30 that night. There was a couple here visiting with us, and we get a knock on the door and they're like, well, we're sorry, we have to search your house, make sure Major's not here. And we're like, have at it. But, they searched everywhere. That, it was good to see, that's what they're doing. But Mallory's mom's house did not get searched.
Yeah, I'm going to interrupt you. And you and I agreed that we can interrupt each other. I want to let everyone know in the audience. Mary and I agreed we can interrupt each other because this gets to be intense. And then one of us might forget something. This is a little bit bizarre to me. I'm going to tell you that. And this will be another question I'm going to have for the police. I am very stunned and shocked that your daughter is the one unalived and your home is being searched before anyone else's.
Yes.
Oh, this is somewhat stunning. That's why I'm kind of speechless because you and I had not discussed that until right now. So they're basically, by searching your home, they're telling you in a very not so subtle way, you're suspects.
That's how we felt.
That's how you should have felt.
That's how we felt.
That is how you should have felt. There's no other way you could feel. And I'm very, very upset and concerned by this, to be honest with you. I mean, first they come to your house 2 days after she was found. Then they come to your house with no information on your grandson. This is La Crosse now. Then they come back and search your home. A grieving family who's lost their daughter and doesn't know where their grandchild is and who were cooperative with them when they came to your door. This is very off-putting to me. I'm really sorry. I really am. I have never heard of anything like this before. Now, it wouldn't be unusual to ask permission to search your home if they had some type of a lead or something that would lead them to believe that you would have your grandson, but they couldn't possibly have had that.
No, we're like, when they knocked on our door, I mean, like I said, it was 10:30 and we're visiting with, another friends of ours. And we're like, they're like, sorry, we need to search it, search your house. And we're like, for what? They're like, see if, make sure Major's not there. We're like, I mean, we were just in shock and we're like, whatever, do what you got to do. We want to find him. Do what you got to do.
I mean, I want to get an answer to that. What happened? I mean, maybe they did have a method to their madness. Maybe there was a logical reason. I can't see it right now.
I would like to know it. If there was one, I would sure like to know it because we certainly didn't know.
Exactly. And especially, I really want to understand, I mean, how it took them that long to notify you. That's really extreme. 48 hours with modern technology and the ways that they can connect people to their loved ones. I am just still in shock.
They said they had to be absolutely positive that it was because they said they've gone, it's been happened where they've gone to a wrong house and, upset family members when it wasn't their family member.
Yeah, I'm not liking that. I don't like that excuse any more than you do.
No, we didn't. We're just
There's
we
no.
lost a lot of faith. Let's put it that way. We lost a lot of faith.
Oh, Mary, I've lost so much faith. I lost faith while I was a police officer. I'm not gonna lie. And I've lost faith on every single advocating that I've done. I have 18 other families that I've advocated for in the last year. And I've lost so much faith in not just the police, but the government of these cities as well.
Well,
Yes. It's all bipartisan, folks. It's there's not one side of the aisle is leading the charge over the other. It's a bipartisan mess of government and police not doing their jobs, or doing their jobs very poorly, or crime and corruption that we have uncovered in many of these cases as well. I don't see that here right now. I don't see any type of crime or corruption involved yet in this case, but I definitely see some missteps, really bad missteps. But in all fairness, we are dealing with, this is multi-jurisdictional. So this is where you live, where Mallery lives in Alaska, where she was living, Milwaukee. So this is tough. It is tough. It's tough to organize 3 different police departments in something of this magnitude. So I don't want to completely go all out on police. There are still good police out there. There are still police who do their jobs, right? And so we have to always praise the ones that are doing it right. They adhere to their training, they follow protocol. But when we run across the ones who don't, or the ones who take shortcuts, then we have the right to call it out, because we're citizens. And that's our job, is to advocate for victims of crimes and to call out bad behavior for people that are getting paid, that have taken an oath to serve and protect us. So this is, I'm just going to open this up here for a second. So on the left here is Major's father, biological father, and many of his relatives, I would believe. This was a picture from the Milwaukee papers when he was had just found out, when they had just found your grandson. And obviously you guys probably can't see it very clearly on here, but I looked at it up close, and the anguish on his face is really hard to take and hard to see, just as you hear the anguish in Mary's voice, and I know in your husband's and the rest of your families. But this is a group of police officers here on the right from Milwaukee, and they formed a search and rescue. They had a van, a police department like truck parked back there, a bus, whatever it was. That was their command center. They did go all out to search for him, and there were many neighbors that I saw many pictures of neighbors everywhere in the streets looking for this child. So I do commend the Milwaukee neighborhood, the Sherman Avenue neighborhood. And I'm not sure if I mentioned this to you, Mary, but this one really touched me extra hard, because Major's biological grandparents had lived in Madison. Major's father had lived in Madison, and where I'm from. But I also spent 7 years living in Milwaukee when I was a child. And Sherman Park, which is close to where Major was found, was one of my favorite parks. And I played there as a child. And my home wasn't far from that park, my 53rd Street school, where I went to elementary school, and Sherman Park. And I couldn't get over it when I saw that that's where this happened. I was just sort of stunned, like I was meant to meet you and meant to, advocate on behalf of Mallery. It just touched me in such a way. So I really give credit to all those neighbors, hundreds of neighbors from the Sherman Park area, Sherman neighborhood area, came out to search for him. And that's when it really feels good to be a community, to know that when the going gets tough and when tragedy happens, people will come out of the woodwork, and they will come out in the snow, the ice, the rain, to help people they don't even know. And that's when we can be grateful that we're alive, and grateful for the good people, because there are bad people among us. There are people that hurt our family members and that take them from us and do other nefarious, nasty things, whether it be white collar crime or political crimes, like the Epstein situation that we're all dealing with every day right now, and all the survivors of that atrocious, disgusting display of inhumanity. And so when you see humanity, when you see all these people surrounding Major's father, biological father, and other photos I saw of just hundreds of Milwaukeeans walking the streets of the Sherman area, that made me feel good. Like it gives me hope.
Appreciate that. We did appreciate that, because we didn't get to Milwaukee. we don't know the area. We were planning the funeral for Mallery, and we didn't, and we, you know.
Yeah. So much, so overwhelming, all of it. I wanted to read, if it's okay with you, and I know this will be hard for you to hear, and I believe you wrote this along with your husband, I would assume. After Major was found deceased, and it's just horrific. He was found deceased, not terribly far from the home where Mallery was found deceased. He was laid in a recycling bin, like those blue recycling bins that you put. That's where he was found, covered with other items. Just horrific and horrible. And you wrote this statement for the Milwaukee Journal. Our family is heartbroken and devastated beyond belief. We had so much hope for the return of our beautiful Major. That was shattered yesterday. And I can only imagine having the pain that you went through, that even if they could have recovered him alive, if you could have gotten Major back, it wouldn't have brought Mallery back. It wouldn't have ended your pain for Mallery, but it would have at least given you that. So when that was taken from you, I just don't even know. Sometimes I don't know, Mary, I don't know how families of homicides and tragedy like this, I don't know how you go on. I had a time where after my father died of cancer, I didn't know how to go on. And I didn't lose him in this horrific, tragic way. He died of a disease, but I was so distraught and so not with it for so long after that, that I do understand this pain of losing someone, but this kind of tragic pain, this violence makes it just makes it so much worse in so many ways. And I'm just sick and devastated for all of you, but I'm also sad and sad for the family of Jaheem Clark, because we don't know, right, Mary? We don't know for sure that Jaheem did this act.
I just don't feel like it. I have spoken to his family, and I don't feel like it.
And I would like to speak with his family. I would welcome them to come on this channel and speak. I always believe that you're innocent until proven guilty. And I do believe that he might have had some role in whatever they were doing that day, whatever caused this person to unalive your daughter and grandchild.
I agree.
And that's the other sick part, is that we sometimes knowing why someone died does help our grieving. I know why my father died. He died of lymphoma cancer, complications to the radiation. But we don't know why. Why would someone so brutally shoot Mallery and Major, an innocent child, and your daughter was an innocent young adult. She never did anything in her life that would any, you know, when you were younger and you watched the old mob movies, right? The stories about the mobsters, and some of those were brutal, and some of those movies are very violent. But in some ways, you're like, you know what? They're both committing crimes. One mobster's taking out another mobster. They're both criminals. And you can almost accept it in a weird kind of way. Not that it's good. We never want anybody to be killed by the hands of someone else, to be unalived by the hands of someone else. But you can almost understand, like, if you're going to put yourself, you know, if you're going to jump out of a plane and your parachute doesn't open, that's horrible. And that's a horrific way to die. And that family would be devastated. But you're jumping out of a plane. Okay. So, you know, it's like, okay, that's horrible, but this is what happened. When you are an innocent human being who ends up getting shot by someone that you knew or was an acquaintance of yours, and now the family is left with, there's no good why. There's no reason in the world why she should have been. And especially the child. The baby was completely helpless, completely reliant on adults.
Yes.
Have done anything to hurt anybody. And so it's not that his death is worse than Mallery's, but his death is even harder to take, because he couldn't have upset anybody. Adults, right? We can upset each other. Domestic violence, homicide is very prevalent in our country. It's sadly scary. We have, and let me add this to the stage for a second here. Every 9 seconds, a woman is beaten in the United States of America. Every 9 seconds. And of those women who are beaten and hurt and injured. We lose 3 a day. 3 women a day. And most people don't believe me when I say that. They say, oh, no, Catherine, that can't be right. There's no way that we're losing 3 women a day to domestic violence, homicide. I wish we did. I wish we weren't, but we are. These are proven statistics, proven that I have that have documented by the doctors, by the those that do the autopsies. We are losing approximately 3.3 women a day. I know those are weird statistics, but that's how math works sometimes. I'm not a good math person, but that's domestic violence homicide. So domestic violence homicide is hard to understand and hard to take, but many of them are crimes of passion. They heat up days, months, weeks, years, and then boom, the man, because in this case, what I'm reading you are statistics regarding man on woman. There is obviously woman on man as well, but not as many, very small percentage, but it does happen. And there are man on man, woman on woman in same-sex marriages, relationships, but the majority of domestic homicides are women, and they are unalived by their spouse, their boyfriend, their fiance, an ex, someone that's stalking them, but someone they knew. And it's shocking and horrible, and we have to stop it. There has to be ways to have better see something, say something. And I know people don't want to get involved. They're afraid to get involved. And that's okay. That's understandable. But there is a point where when you're seeing something that starts to really freak you out, where your person is not behaving like they normally do, where you're seeing bruises, they're wearing sunglasses, they're covering up all the time, they constantly have long sleeves on, they're limping. These are things that you're not a required reporter like I was as a social worker, a police officer, or a doctor in an ER room, but ethically you are. You are, right? So that's what we need to end domestic violence. We need
Mallery was clearly afraid of something. I don't know. Just talking to people and stuff, she had a fear, and she did go. I mean, we had Major, the last time we had Major was last weekend of September. And apparently when she left here, we had seen in the records and stuff that she went and bought a gun. We were told she was supposed to pick somebody up at a train station, or seen that in the records. And she was afraid, wanted somebody to go with her. I have no clue what that was all about. I don't know. She was afraid of something. She got into something, she was in with the wrong group, and she was afraid.
That hurts. It hurts to hear that, doesn't it? It hurts for all of you to know that her last few months, how long do you believe she was afraid? Do you know how long this went on prior to her death?
I think it was just a couple of weeks, because we seen her when we picked up Major, she seemed a little nervous, and we had asked her, if everything was okay, and she just said that she was going to be taking her realtor's test. She was going to be a realtor because she was working full-time with CenturyLink for 5-6 years, taking care of Major, and while she was doing that, single mom. So she was a hard worker, and she just always wanted to help people. She gave people the benefit of the doubt, but tried to do things on her own. And so that's why we took Major, because she said that she needed to study for her test for a realtor. And she said she did all of her took notes and everything, and she had to put it all on the computer. And so, we understood. I mean, it just seemed logical to us. That's why she was feeling nervous, and she did pass her realtor's test after that. So, I mean, it was, she did do it. So I don't know. I mean,
that's not an easy test to pass. I have friends that are realtors, and I studied for that test once, thinking about switching careers, and that's not an easy test to pass. So she was a smart cookie.
She was always good, top in school, or, had great grades in school. And I don't know. I just never, she got involved with the wrong crowd. I think she was trying to get out of it. And I guess the reason I feel that way is because she did accept the Lord as her savior. And this is her Bible. when she did, and it's written in there that she accepted him on July 9th, 2004. And she had her Bible on her coffee table. And I don't know, I guess I just feel like somebody's choosing, really wanting to be down that wrong path. They're not going to be having the Bible right out there on their coffee table with pages marked that they were reading it. I can't believe that. I think she was.
We don't ever blame the victims. There is no victim blaming here. If Mallery, was hanging out with people that maybe weren't making good choices because something at the time of whatever she was going through, she was attracted to this group of friends for whatever reason. And we don't know why that group of friends was doing whatever it is they were doing that they shouldn't have been doing. Maybe their life was astray and not going well. I mean, what does it? So when we say this, I always say this, and this is kind of my social worker part versus my cop part. What is the wrong crowd? Because I've heard this so many times from parents when I was a police officer and when I was a social worker and domestic violence counselor. My so-and-so started hanging out with the wrong crowd. What does that mean to you? What does the wrong crowd mean to you?
Well, she just wasn't, how do I say? I guess with Mallery, it's different. I mean, she wasn't mean to people. She was a caretaker. I don't know, for some reason she was around people that made her feel less than, who she was.
What was this? Do we know anything about the wrong crowd? Like, what were they into? What were they, partiers? Were they drinkers? Were they doing drugs? What was their deal? What was their deal? Do we know?
Well, from the records and everything, it looked like they were trying to say that it was drug deal and stuff. And I have a hard time. I was told by a couple of Mallery's friends that, yeah, she did smoke pot, but they said that she wasn't doing hard drugs.
Pot is probably never going to get you unalived. I mean, right. that is my opinion, but it's what I saw as an officer, what I've seen as a human living in this world. There is just really no, I've never had a domestic violence call involving marijuana. Right. We never had I didn't have a lot of calls. So I was a University of Wisconsin police officer, but several of my coworkers did, my detectives did. I didn't, I was along for patrol on a couple of them, but I wasn't a detective. But I don't believe we had any homicides in Madison or that involved marijuana. It just isn't. It could happen, but it's so rare. So if this was some type of a drug situation, then my instincts would be that it was something to do with prescription. People buy and sell prescription drugs. It's like an epidemic right now. Adderall is being bought on the streets all the time. I was actually, this is off topic a little bit, but I'll bring it back around. I was at a party once when I was in my 50s, and it was with some people I didn't know that well. I drove up to Jacksonville. I had met them at a sports bar. They seemed okay. I didn't do a background check on them by any means, but we were all watching sports. They were Miami Dolphins fans. I was a Packers fan, and one of them called me and said, "Hey, Kath, come on up. We're going to have a party for the Dolphins. They're playing the Packers. Come on up." So, I went up there to Jacksonville. They weren't Jaguars fans. These were Miami Dolphins fans. So I drove up there from where I was living in Florida, which was about an hour and a half. But when I think back on it now, it was pretty stupid of me. Here I am in my 50s and I'm driving by myself to Jacksonville, which is a big city, to meet with a bunch of guys and other people that I don't really know. And I'm too trusting sometimes. I know
and that's the way Mallery was. I mean,
it sounds like she was. And so
I feel like she was trying to help somebody else. I feel like she was trying to get somebody else out of a situation or something. That's the type of person she would be, to do that.
Well, what I was going to share with you, and because this is interesting, because this was a group of people in their 40s and 50s. There were a few 30-year-olds in this group, a party, maybe about 25, 30 people, is that I actually saw someone come in and right in front of everybody said, "Oh, I've got my Adderall prescription with me. Who needs some?" And I'm like looking around like, okay, I'm an ex-cop. I'm 50. What the is going on? Right. Like I'm completely uncomfortable now. I'm like, and I didn't stay that long after that because that suddenly made me very uncomfortable. I didn't that. And, we all know that Adderall is used prescription only for people with attention deficit disorder and other issues Adderall can be used for, but it's not it's not supposed to be recreational. You're not supposed to be taking it and get a high or taking it to stay awake to cram for your exams. So that made me very uncomfortable. And there were some other things that happened too that I don't need to talk about, but it was a lesson to me, to how well do you really know someone? So this to me, I mean, the violence that was used against your daughter, a gun is violent, and I mean any homicide is violent, but the gun is just it's a very violent way to unalive someone. But
it was personal too because she was beat up first.
Exactly. I was just about to say that. You did tell us that she was hurt and beat up first. So this is what leads me to believe that that's not so. A drug deal that goes bad doesn't usually involve the personal component.
Right.
Unless the means of the death is the beating that I have seen. So not seen, but I know of cases where the means of the death was that they beat this person up and they died of their injuries because they didn't have the money for this drug deal. So that does happen. But to do both seems, like you said, very personal. And that's concerning to me that, was this a domestic violence situation? Was she dating this person and things went bad? Or did she break up with this person and then they unalived her? Or was this someone she barely knew and she was buying drugs for a friend, someone that maybe got off that train? Or herself. I mean, we don't know yet. And again, we're not victim blaming Mallery. Whatever she was doing, she absolutely did not deserve to be hurt.
There was one other thing too. There was a lot of things were sent to me, during this time frame, and there was somebody that forwarded a phone call a voicemail to me. Are you still on there?
Yep, I'm with you. I just made us smaller for a second. I go back and forth to our photos for our people that are with us live. I like to go back and forth to the case study for them to have something to look at every once in a while. So,
but there was somebody had forwarded a message to me. No clue who it was or whatever, but the message it was a female, and she was yelling at somebody, and she said that Mallery got exactly what she deserved, was a bullet to the head.
Oh God. Someone sent that to you in an email?
No, somebody said that somebody forwarded me a voice message. So they left it as a voice message to somebody else, and that got forwarded to me.
Oh God, that's a terrible thing to.
So there was so much more involved in all this, and we don't know who, don't know why, we don't know.
Right. So for someone to think that she deserved that person would have to think that she was doing something nefarious or doing something to hurt the person that unalived her. Right? That's just what common sense tells you. Not that we would ever agree that ever is it okay to unalive someone no matter how much they hurt you or did you wrong, but it sounds like this person thinks that for them to have made a statement like that.
They didn't like Mallery for some reason.
Well, obviously, I mean that's so cold. That's so cold and so horrible. I want to bring up a couple just short videos here for our audience tonight to take a look at with us. So just give me a second here to bring this up, and I have to get out of the production room here for a second, and then I'll be able to put it on the screen for us. So just a second. I have to be the producer and the live stream host all at the same time. So sometimes I have to step away from my live duties to be able to be the producer for you guys and get what I need to come up on the screen.
And the other thing was too, like when Milwaukee did come to Alaska to talk to us, and we asked if we could record the conversation because we were just in shock, like we've said. And they're like, no, we prefer you don't. And we didn't.
Wow. They
And
said, we prefer you don't.
Right. They didn't want us to record the conversation because we knew we would forget things that were talked about because our heads.
Well, they should be recording the conversation. they shouldn't mind you as the victim's family. They shouldn't mind that you record the conversation because they should be recording the conversation.
I don't know if it ever happened or not. I don't know how to find that out.
Oh, God. Well, I'll figure it out. We'll figure it out together. Can you see what I just put up on the screen? Okay, because I'm back in the production room. So Major's father said that the medical examiner told him that Major was shot in the head. Now, you got to be ice cold with absolutely zero care about humanity to shoot a child in the head. I still can't believe that this is what you all had to go through and what happened. It's just stunning. So let me play this here for you guys. There'll be a commercial first. So just
for over 40 years, we've been representing people who've been injured in accidents. We have the experience. If you need help because you've been in an accident,
it'll let me
call the lawyers with
commercial in a
experience.
few minutes.
Call the lawyers.
It's all part of the process when you screen.
A father's unimaginable pain.
My son was shot in the head, a 3-year-old baby.
Carlton Harris spoke with reporters 30 minutes after learning how his 3-year-old son, Major Harris, was killed.
My plea not even to the community no more. My plea to the world. I need justice for my son.
Why do you think someone would want to do this, hurt them like this?
Evil. Evil, pure evil.
The heartbreak comes after police and community groups searched neighborhoods, parks, trash cans, garbage trucks, a tow lot this week for the boy. During a search near 35th and Center Thursday, police say a tip led them 3 miles away to 35th and Roar, where Major's body was found in a storage container.
Y'all should have been knocking on doors the day he came up missing.
Harris has repeatedly criticized the investigation. Police issued an Amber Alert Saturday, 2 days after finding Major's mother, Mallery Major, shot to death behind a home. Sunday, as they moved in on the suspect, the medical examiner confirms Jaheem Clark died by suicide. Then Monday, they found Mom's car parked behind a laundromat. The SUV had blood inside, and 12 News has learned when someone dropped it off Saturday, they went inside to wash clothes. The location was 1 mile from where police found Major's body. Do you feel like the police department failed you, your family,
I feel like
and
they
your
failed everybody. I feel like they've been failing the whole community. I feel like I feel like they just failing everything.
Milwaukee's acting police chief disagrees.
We pull recruit officers out of class to search. We search up in Dane County. We search in Germantown. And I know there's never enough. But if I can put anything out there, the men and women of the Milwaukee Police Department worked extremely hard.
But police still don't know who killed Major and why, and what brought mom and son from the La Crosse area to Milwaukee.
My plan is to bury him by his mother.
Hillary joining us once again. Now, police say they don't know yet when Major was killed, but they have made arrests in the mother's murder.
Right. Police have arrested a total of 6 people. They were relatives and acquaintances of that suspect, Jaheem Clark. 2 men, a 21-year-old and a 29-year-old, remain in custody tonight, but so far, no one has been criminally charged.
Hillary, thank you.
The family of Major's mother, Mallery Major, released a new statement today thanking everyone who helped search for Major Harris. They wrote, quote, "Our family is heartbroken and devastated beyond belief. We had so much hope for the return of our beautiful Major that was shattered yesterday. We have been left with so many unanswered questions." They went on to say, "Our wishes are to have them buried together." Milwaukee Mayor Tom Barrett says he is devastated by the death of 3-year-old Major Harris.
It is particularly heartbreaking when you see what happened here. Not only has the family experienced a horrific loss, an unbelievable loss, but the frustration and the anger that comes from not knowing for an extended period of time.
The mayor also said he was, quote, heartened by the community's response from supporting the family to helping to try to find the little boy.
I know that was tough on you, Mary, and it's tough on me. I watched it several times trying to hear something I might not have heard the first time. I'm just so incredibly sorry, and this makes me angry and sad. And especially the father had said that he was going to allow you to bury your grandson next to your daughter, and then that didn't happen, right?
No, it did not happen. And then he called, and the medical examiner calls us to tell us that Major's been released to us. We called the Schumacher, the funeral home. He called to verify that. Once it was all verified, we moved forward and had Major's the hole dug and the casket picked out and the visitation cards changed. And then all of a sudden the biological calls and starts screaming at us saying that we stole his son's body. And we're like, what? We'd already been through enough.
Yeah. I have empathy for all of you. I have so much empathy for all of you because it's a difficult situation when the biological parents are not married and their child passes, because I could see where both sides, where you would want this grandchild to be with its mother, and they want him with their family in Madison near their grandmother or other family members that are buried in Madison. So I do understand the conundrum that this proposed. But is this not accurate that Mallery had full custody?
Yes.
Of your grandson?
Yeah.
So yeah. I really feel that in his grief, I think he made a mistake. I'd like to think maybe if he had it to do over again, he would do it differently, and maybe he feels that way. I don't know. I tried to get a number for him today. I spent about an hour searching for him. I think I narrowed it down, but I'm not positive. But I would like to speak to him. I feel equally terrible for his loss as I feel extra more for your loss, only because I've gotten to know you now, and you lost two people, which is just doubly worse. There's no measure of grief, but when you lose two, it's absolutely inconceivable and unimaginable for most people. But I would like to speak to him and hear, why did he tell the media that day that he would honor the wishes that you had asked to have them together?
I would like to know that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So maybe we
would like to know that too.
Help with some of the closure if we can get a hold of him and ask him to come and speak and join us, because we want justice for his son and your grandson and Mallery's son. However that looks, if it's just answering the questions and getting more closure to understand why they feel the case is closed, why they believe that Jaheem is the one that pulled the trigger. I don't know that yet. I have to finish reading many, many more pages of police reports, my dear friends that are with us today. So we will be back, and this will be up to Mary. We'll be back either next week or the following week after Thanksgiving for part 2. I do want to go over a couple more things before we close tonight. I didn't want this to be too much longer than an hour and a half, because this is tough. This is emotionally dragging for all of us that are here tonight live, and especially for Mary and her family and all of you that are with us that are family members. So I just wanted to touch on a couple more things before we close, and then we will get into part 2. There's a lot more to say. There's a lot more there's more theories that we can talk out. And I am hoping that I will get a return phone call from my message to the detectives at the Milwaukee Police Department. I don't know if I'll get it with Thanksgiving coming up, so we may have to live again in 2 weeks, Mary. But before we live again, I would like to at least have the answers. Either they said they would talk to me and they did, or they said, no, we're not talking to you, ma'am. We have nothing to say to you. I just want to have an answer to that for all of you. And it'll give me a few more, either a week or 2 weeks to finish reading just the hundreds of pages of police reports. The one thing that no parent or grandparent should ever have to do, and I wrote that in the description of this live today, is to read autopsies. They are horrible to read. I've had to read many since I started advocating. It never gets easier. I have to shake it off. I have to go for a walk because it sticks in my brain and it sits there. I'm just sick-hearted for all of you that you had to read those autopsies. Some family members choose not to, but I know you did choose to. It's just horrible. But the one thing I want to clear up for you is that I think the reason, and this is just, I am going to reach out to someone I know in the medical field, but I think the reason they did not have the family come in for a visual identification, which that does happen, that is common in homicides or any death investigation, that a family member is brought in to positively identify. And you see this in the crime shows, you see this in a lot of other movies. But it's true, it happens. But in some cases, if the body has reached a decomposition state where they feel that it would be too traumatic for the family member, because there are things you can't unsee. And I know, because being a police officer, I have seen them, and I have never unseen them. And I wish I could, but I still can't. And I still have nightmares about some of them. I feel they were protecting you and Major Harris's father, Major Harris Sr., he was junior, but I think they were protecting you because I do believe that a week had gone by, and that would be very gruesome. Gruesome for the police officers who are never going to unsee that, a small child in this state. And the even those that could perform autopsies, medical professionals, they're not superhumans. They're good at their job. They're very clinical. They know they have a job to do, and they do it for the sake of the families and for the sake of the case. But it sits with them. There's no doubt, and especially when it's a child. And Mary, Major is the first child that I've actually advocated for. I have advocated for all adults up until now. So this one is really harder on me than I thought it was going to be, because again, Major was an innocent. He had nothing to do with whatever caused this dysfunction that Mallery might have gotten herself into, whether it was trying to protect someone who was in trouble, doing something nefarious they shouldn't have been doing, or she got herself involved in something she shouldn't have. We don't know, but she didn't deserve any of it. But Major was a child, an innocent, and it makes it so much more egregious that he was killed in this manner. And my main concern from the autopsy, and I know it has to be yours, is why was he shot twice? That is very concerning to me. The left and the right temple, that was very upsetting to me when I read that in the autopsy. And I that is an extra level of evil, or and bear with me here, this is a theory, or it's whoever did it felt they had no choice, and they wanted to make sure he wouldn't suffer. They wanted to make sure, they were going to unalive him, but they wanted to make sure that he wasn't going to survive it. And that's why they shot him twice. That's just a theory. I don't know. But that hurt me. When I was reading that, I was expecting one gunshot wound. I wasn't expecting two. And so I have a lot of unanswered questions myself that I would like to speak to the detective about. I'd like to know their theory, but there's really only two ways to look at that. They wanted to prevent him from surviving and suffering, or they were just on some level of evil beyond evil, that they were so jacked up on their evil and their power of unaliving someone that they did it, shot him twice. That there's only two things. There's only two ways that can go. But that adds a different level of questioning and suspicion for me, to especially when it comes to the unaliving of a child. Now, if an adult was fighting for the gun, and let's say Mallery was fighting, and I do believe they do believe that she was trying to defend herself, and she was trying to get the gun away from the person, and then it went off, and then the person shot again because they wanted to make sure that they unalived her. That you can kind of understand, but a little child's not going to be trying to fight against a grown person. So it's just, there's just so many things that don't make sense with how this happened, and we still don't know why it happened. We're going to try to see if we can figure it out, try to see if we can get answers by getting people to speak to us and interview with us. But all we can do is try and ask the questions and try to piece it together.
I just pray, and if anybody's listening to this podcast that hears it, and they know Mallery and they know something, I just pray for her sake that they would say something.
Yes. It's beyond the see something, say something, because the family needs to understand what happened. healing is a process. Healing is a long process, and it helps the healing process when answers to questions can happen. When questions go unanswered, the healing process is stymied, and sometimes it's not even existent. I have a family in Florida who is not getting answers to any of their questions, and their healing is not happening. It's just stunted, and until they get these answers, until more can happen, either Sarah is found. She's a missing mother out of Ocala, Florida, which is just to my west. Either she's found, or someone finally steps up and takes accountability for what happened to her, or someone else finally steps up and says, this is, I believe, what happened to her. The family can't heal. They're just stuck in this limbo area. Not understanding, where is my sister? What happened to my sister? Where is Sarah Ebersol? That is her hashtag. We've been advocating for her for over a year now. And that family can relate to yours in the sense that they don't have answers. Now their person is still missing. Your person was found. Both your people were found. But neither one of you have answers. And both of you have been cut off from the police. Sarah's sister was cut off from the police for asking too many questions, for going out on her own and doing too much investigating. Well, I'm sorry, but if you are not doing the job, police, if you're not getting the answers to the questions, then family members do and want to take it upon themselves. They want to keep digging and keep it. That's just understandable. And for you to cut off a family that's grieving and missing their loved one because you don't like all these questions, it makes no sense to me. It's just unconscionable.
Yes.
So thank you, Tracy. I so appreciate you being a social change warrior and a justice seeker. I know that you have to get up very early for work and that you watch us on the replay. I just want to thank Tracy for all her support on social media and here during our lives, and for all the advocating that she does as a good human in the world. So just to close out tonight, I know it's time for us to take a break, and you need to go do something positive, and we will revisit this in episode 2. I just want to show one more clip of something that will help people understand, what you have been going through and what's been going on. And because it's only fair because you don't know for sure that you don't know that Jaheem Clark definitely unalived your grandson and your granddaughter. You don't know your daughter. You don't know that. And his family questioned this. They questioned this from the beginning.
Yes. I've actually talked to his sister quite a bit. Messaging.
And I would like to speak to her as well. So I want to say, my life mattered, Mallery Major, and Jaheem's life mattered. He had a family, he had a life, and even if it is proven that he did this, and in the worst possible moment of his life, he made the worst possible mistake he could have ever made, and then he unalived himself because of it. That doesn't stop the family from grieving. That doesn't stop this family from missing him and from having questions and concerns and wondering if that truly was the case. So they have every right to feel that way about their own person. And the fact that you even have questions. Now, if you for sure didn't have questions, if you absolutely thought that this is the person that took your loved ones from you, then you would have to find a way somehow to forgive him the best that you could and continue on your grieving and your healing process. But that's part of the problem why you have had a hard time continuing this grieving process. And because you don't know for sure. And this family, you felt for this family, you felt emotion for them. You felt like maybe they were right. Maybe their person, Jaheem, did not commit this atrocity. So it's tough. It's just, this is a very confusing, like you said, the death of your daughter and your grandson has had a lot of twists and turns and very disturbing, very disturbing. So let me pull up this clip here that I found that you've probably seen as well. And I believe this is some new details that they said emerged, which was in March of 2022. And we'll take a listen to see what they shared. This is what they shared with the public.
Yeah. What new details?
Right, exactly. And so let me see if I can figure out where the actual play button is on this one. This one might just be an article. I thought maybe it was the news, but let me read this to you all because it doesn't seem to be exactly what I thought it was. But this is, so let me read it to you. I thought it was an actual news feature like we watched a minute ago. This is a wonderful picture, by the way, of your daughter and your grandson. I hope you have this one framed.
No, we do.
Gives you some peace, a little bit of peace, knowing that you had them in, your life, and they brought you joy, and they will continue to live on through you and your family. Their lives.
They're in a better place for sure.
I believe they are. I mean, the world is a tough one to live in, but ultimately they didn't deserve to go there quite so soon. And so justice is still needed for them. But I understand that is a beautiful way to help with coping and to help with healing. Absolutely. So this was published March 4th, Mary, 2022. It says Basketball. New details have emerged in the case of Mallery Munzenberger and Major Harris. The mother and son pair were brutally murdered last year in Milwaukee and have family ties to the Basketball area through Mallery's father and stepmother, Paul and Mary Munzenberger. In early October of last year, it was believed that Mallery and Major left their Unalaska residence to head to Milwaukee. Days later, Milwaukee police were called to a home on the 2600 block of North 37th Street in Milwaukee. It was there officials found Mallery's body with gunshot wounds that were believed to have led to her death. Following the positive identification of her body, a statewide Amber Alert for Major was issued. It had been noted in a report by the Wisconsin Public Radio that officers were unaware that Mallery had Major with her while traveling to Milwaukee. Through the investigation, a connection was made to Jaheem Clark as a person of interest in Mallery's death. Shortly after the connection was made, he was discovered in another Milwaukee home. It was there upon police arrival, officers heard 2 gunshots fired and found Clark dead from an apparent unaliving of himself. Statements made by Clark's family disputed his involvement in Mallery's death. Despite these disputes, officers confirmed Clark as the murderer, adding that Mallery was found dead in the backyard of a home he lived in. Additionally, as part of the recently released documents, it was noted that there was a witness in the home who alleges seeing Clark grab a gun and go into the bathroom before hearing 2 shots ring out prior to the police entering the residence. Now, this is a witness of his unaliving, and him unaliving himself is not necessarily a cry out that I did this. There could have been other reasons, right? So reporting from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel also points to parts in the document, phone records, leading police to friends of Clark who confirmed that he had seen Clark with his girlfriend. So they were calling Mallery his girlfriend on October 9th during a drug transaction. So that is from witnesses that spoke to the Milwaukee Police Department. Further information,
the one that got immunity.
Oh yes, that's what we're gonna get to in part 2, everyone. There was a bizarre situation with the person who was driving Mallery's car and was the one that went to the laundromat, and I do believe in the autopsy I read, Mary, that it looked as if Major's clothes had been laundered and bleached. Did you know that, or did you see that?
I couldn't. There were certain things in the report. I mean, I know he went to the laundromat, but I was thinking he picked up some girl and took her to the laundromat to do her clothes. I don't know.
But either way, it doesn't make any sense. And it's absolutely egregious behavior that he would be tooling around the city of Milwaukee in someone's car who had been unalived.
Right.
Knowing there was blood in it, knowing that person isn't alive. I mean, this is egregious behavior. And so how does this person end up with immunity? I have a lot of questions, and I'm hoping to get answers to those before we meet again. But if I don't, we'll speak on it when we meet again for part 2. This says that more information from the documents revealed that Munzenberger's black SUV was discovered by a worker at a laundromat. Following this discovery, as MSJ has reported from the released documents, officials viewed the security footage where they saw a man and a woman going from the SUV and washing clothes. It's just ridiculous. Following this review of security footage, police tracked down the other individual in the video who confirmed that Clark had asked him to help move Mallery's body, but they struggled to put her in the SUV and instead left her in the yard. Okay, that makes absolutely no sense, Mary.
I know it doesn't.
If there was blood in the vehicle and they said they struggled to put her in. They couldn't get her in, but they didn't struggle carrying her back to the backyard.
Oh, but apparently to the one that got immunity, Jaheem did that by himself. He got her from down up in his room, down the steps out to the backyard, and then they couldn't get her in the car. Yeah.
No, I don't. That absolutely is not true. That's a lie, and that
Yes,
there's
it
no
is.
way. Yes, there's no way that happened that way. So
I
we'll
agree.
talk more. Yeah, we'll talk more about that next time. Absolutely. In the days following, the search continued for Major, and he was ultimately reported to be found by police in a storage bin, having died due to a gunshot to the head. In news reports, Fox 6 investigator Brian Polson, and I may be calling him, it has been revealed that the man who helped hide Major's body has been granted immunity for his part in the crime. Now, this really blows my mind, Mary. Why in the world, this early into an investigation, would you grant this person immunity?
Because he told where Major was at. We didn't know that he was the one that had Mallory's car when this all went down. There was a lot of information we didn't know. And he was calling us to tell us about it because Carlton, obviously, being the biological, was the one that, approved it.
But immunity is, I mean, they could have done way less than that. They could have cut him a deal and said, hey, you are a party to a crime. You knew of a homicide and you didn't report it. That's failure to report. You helped move a dead body. That in and of itself could be up to 2 to 3 to 4 years in prison. So I am completely aghast at how they came to the decision that
it was the first time they did that. Per the records, that's the first time they ever did something like that. Probably never did it again.
Oh, this is just really strange, and it makes zero sense to me that he would have absolutely no punishment for his role in all of that. It goes on to say the information was included on more than 500 pages, which is what I said at the beginning tonight of our live, of case files that were released by the Milwaukee Police Department recently. In the story, Mallory's father also expresses his upset upon learning the information, which is obviously, of course. My daughter and my grandson are M-worded in Milwaukee, and we have no arrests, nothing. Paul is reported saying. The man who took the deal with the prosecutor was identified as Robert Williams. It was also noted that Paul said Paul, reluctantly agreed to the deal last fall, but did not feel like he had a choice. In the Fox 6 news story, it is noted that during the 5-day search for Major Harris, police interviewed Williams 6 times. At first, he said he had nothing to do with it. Williams then admitted to helping Clark dump items in a garbage can. It was also noted that Williams Googled, how long does it take for a body to decompose? And this is really, not shocking to me, because several of the other cases that I am advocating for the victims, the perpetrators Googled things like this. In the case of John O'Keefe and the wrongful accusation against Karen Reed, it is believed that Jen McCabe Googled how long to die in the cold. In the case of Anna Walsh, whose husband, we believe, unalived her and literally separated her from her body and put her body in different places so she would never be found, Googled how to move a body, or questions of that nature. So this doesn't surprise me that they would do this. It's horrible, but it is not surprising. But claims he only did so because Clark threatened to kill him if he did not help him. Well, that's his word against Clark, right?
Exactly.
And so we don't know if that's the case or not. For all we know, this person did the unaliving, and this person, was involved way worse than they ever thought after, and they didn't know any of this till after they gave him the immunity. That's all very possible as well.
This person, I don't know. We knew what this person's Facebook page was, and on that person's Facebook page, they had murder. Why would you put that on your Facebook page?
Oh boy, yeah. I mean, it's disgusting. It makes no sense. According to the story, it was not until after prosecutors offered full immunity that Williams told them where to find the body, which was located in a 30-gallon plastic tote covered with garbage bags. so horrible, and I'm so sorry. Williams allegedly told Fox News that he did in fact help hide the body, but insisted that he was not involved with the M word. The deal was touted as a last-ditch effort on the part of the Milwaukee County District Attorney Grant Huber. Huber told Fox News that Milwaukee County District Attorney Johnson Chisholm would only agree to it if the victim's family is on board. He insists that both Major's father, Carlton Harris, and his maternal grandparents in La Crosse were both indeed on board. Despite Clark dying prior to any positive indication from him in regards to Major's death, the police confirmed that they were satisfied that Clark killed Munzenberger and Major before taking his own life. I'm going to need a lot more and to read a lot more, Mary, before I'm satisfied. I don't feel satisfied at all that this is what happened.
I don't either. I mean, I just no. That's why we have no closure, no arrest, no. We're just it doesn't make sense. We want something to make sense. I mean, I understand maybe we won't get all the answers, but at least something might make something kind of sense. That makes no sense.
A lot of it doesn't make sense, and a lot of it is off the mold. I mean, and I know that sounds harsh and cold, but again, sometimes I have to think like I'm still a cop, or I'm not retired as a social worker either, but there are patterns to homicides. There are patterns to how people are unalived and why. And most of the cases that I am advocating for right now and continue to advocate for, they have a certain pattern or a certain mold that makes some sense as to how this happened and why this happened. But this case of your granddaughter and your daughter and grandson, there's no logical sense to any of it. There's no pattern. There's no mold. None of it makes sense. It doesn't fit domestic violence. We don't even know for sure that they were dating. It doesn't fit a drug deal gone wrong.
Right.
It doesn't fit kidnapping of a child or abuse of a child prior to the unaliving of a child. It doesn't fit that. It just doesn't fit. And that's what makes it, I believe, so frustrating. Let me see here. That we have a couple comments. Thinking of you, my dear friend, love you, and I'm coming back home for 13 weeks. Thanks for the invite to this podcast. That's your a dear friend of yours. And then also, did they kill her to get at Jaheem? They beat her up and killed her to hurt Jaheem. That's possible. I mean, that's what I mean. That's why none of it makes sense to me. Jaheem had no history of this type of behavior, no violence, according to his family. And they weren't in this long-term relationship where we could consider this domestic violence. Now, if the biological father had been a suspect, of course we could have considered this domestic violence. But typically, when this happens, when a child's death is involved, then the biological father would have taken his life, which he did not do. And I don't believe he was ever considered a suspect. I don't feel in my heart that he's a suspect. So I don't even think he was in the state when it happened. So I think that, again, in some of these cases that I've had to advocate for the families where the mother and the child have been unalived, the father then unalives himself, because if he can't have them because they're getting divorced and the mother's seeking some type of custody or some type of child support. So in the father's sick, demented mind, if I can't have them, nobody can have them. And they do unalive their own children. It's hard to fathom how anybody could hurt their own child. It's the worst kind of evil. But when you're at that level of complete insanity where you want to still be married to that person and they don't want to be married to you, so your only option in your mind, in your completely gone crazy mind, is to unalive them. That's typically the only time we see children getting unalived in a domestic violence, is when the parents are getting divorced and there's custody issues. There's been many cases that we've all sadly heard about in the media that have made the mainstream media. There's many that have never made the mainstream media that none of us know about. But again, Major and Mallery don't fit that. They don't fit that protocol, because Jaheem, they hadn't known each other that long. They weren't in a relationship that would lead to this type of domestic violence.
Right. A friend of Mallory's told us that, Mallery had met Jaheem in like August, of 2021, and that she was just kind of giddy about it, that she seemed happy, over some dating app is how they supposedly met.
Right.
I don't know. But her refrigerator was full. I know the cop said that she looked, like she had been there for 2 weeks, but her refrigerator was completely full of food, like she had just gone grocery shopping. And it wasn't bad.
Do they have a time frame for when she was last seen in Onalaska?
They're saying October 9th is last I've heard. So that's not 2 weeks.
She could have been in Milwaukee a week before she was unalived.
I guess probably, yeah.
I do believe in some of the police reports I was reading the last couple of days that neighbors were interviewed, and that one neighbor hadn't seen her in a few days, I think she said. Right. So it's possible that she wasn't in Milwaukee more than just a few days before this happened.
Right. I remember, actually the neighbor, like, even though you mentioned that, I think it was on the 10th that a neighbor said that she seen Mallery at the apartment, because she said she did video Major playing, and that's how she knew the date, because she looked at her video that she took of Major playing outside. And I think that was on the 10th.
Yes, I recall that. I recall seeing that now. She saw him playing. Yes, you're right. And I think it was the 10th. Yeah. So it could have been that day, or maybe the next day that she drove to Milwaukee, which would make sense. She was there going to visit this new friend of hers for 2 or 3 days, and then something just went completely wrong.
And then on the 13th, Paul had sent her a text, and there was a response from her on her phone from that, to that. But the cops are saying that they feel that it wasn't Mallery responding. We don't know why they feel it wasn't Mallery responding then. They just said
they feel that wasn't her responding to a text message.
They felt, apparently they thought that somebody else had Mallory's phone and that they responded. Paul
what day did they say? Do they know? Well, they obviously have her phone records. What day did they say this is? You do remember? Or we'll look it up, and I can talk about it. Talk about that next time. We'll look that up. I'll make a note to look up about the phone records. All right. Well, Mary, thank you. Thank you so much. I am so incredibly sorry for what you have been through, the tragedy. I can pray for you and pray for healing, and I can help you to the best of my ability to get some of these questions answered for you and for all the other family members.
And we just appreciate you even talking to us, because we have not had that in the last 4 years. So that's helped us immensely, just being able to ask you the questions and being in that field. And, because you just think, am I nuts that I'm even thinking this way? I mean,
no, you're not. But I feel honored, and I'm honored by all the families that trust me with their loved ones. And this is why I started my channel. I started my channel for families that don't have answers, that do not get attention from the mainstream media. I try to help those families, if their cases need the justice, to get into the mainstream media. I try to push them away and get them out of my nest into bigger nests. My role isn't to become famous or to become a big channel. My role is to help you get to the bigger channels, and that we all need that leg up, that help. And so this situation, we don't know yet if there is still justice to be sought, or if there is no justice. Sometimes my mother worked for the Department of Justice for most of her career. She was a paralegal investigator, and she used to tell me, it's just us, that there is not always justice for things. Bad things happen in this world, and they happen to all of us at one point or another, in worse ways for some than others. But we can still have just us, our community, our families, communities like this, like Social Change Warriors, where we come together and offer you advocacy and try to answer your questions, try to give you some closure the best we can, or just give you the chance to talk about your loved one and what happened to them.
And
I'm proud of Social Change Warriors. I'm proud of all of my subscribers that take the time to advocate for people that have lost their lives, and to spend time when they could be doing other type of things, but to come to these podcasts or to listen to them, watch them on replay, and actually advocate for your family on their social medias as well. And I'm proud of all of them, and especially proud of you and your family for continuing to advocate for your dear daughter and your grandson.
Well, one thing we do know is if justice is not served in this world, it will be served in the next. We have to believe that.
Absolutely. And we have to believe that, because that's what gets us through. That's why faith exists. That's whatever faith you have, whatever faith you practice, we have to believe in something better, something greater after this, because there, even when unaliving's not involved, there are so many hard things we have to go through in this life to survive it every day, day in and day out. So thank you for sharing your faith with us and Mallery's Bible. I really, truly appreciate that. And we will let everyone know when we're going to reconvene for part 2 of the Mallery and Major tragic homicides in Milwaukee. So thank you, Mary. You can stay with me.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna bring up the other people that I advocate for here on Social Change Warriors. I just have to bring up that deck here, and I'm just gonna honor them for a minute before we close off tonight, and just to remind everybody that domestic violence can be prevented. You just need to get someone to counseling. Most men that commit domestic violence, they are savable. I know that a lot of people don't believe in that. There's a lot of people that want to send people to jail forever and let them rot there and don't give them counseling and don't help them. And I'm not one of those people. I believe that most people are redeemable, and that there are some crimes that can be redeemed, that you can heal from, that the perpetrator can be redeemed. And not all. Some are too egregious. Some are too far gone. Absolutely. But there is hope for domestic violence perpetrators. That is absolute factual. They have done study after study after study, especially Ellen Pence out of Minnesota has done study after study, that if you can get to the man before he commits the final act, which is domestic violence homicide, you can get him into counseling, and you can change the thinking. You can change the power and control, and you can help him to lead a better life. He may end up in a divorce. Your family member may not forgive him and may not be able to stay with him, but there is hope that won't escalate to a domestic violence homicide if you can speak out and get your loved one out of that house in time and get that other family member into counseling. So that's what we advocate for here, is we advocate for that, for trying to get this horrible, horrific number of all the domestic violence female homicides in 2018. 92% of victims were killed by a man they knew. 63% of those were their husbands, boyfriends, or ex-husbands, or partners. It's a horrific statistic. And these beautiful women we have been advocating for the past year are still all searching for justice. And many of them are still not found. Ashley Lachey Elkins, My Life Mattered. She is still missing in Michigan. Suzanne Clark Simpson, My Life Mattered. She is still missing near San Antonio, Texas. My Life Mattered. Anna Walsh is still missing in Massachusetts or Washington, D.C. I have to check into that more, where she was last seen. But she is still missing. Now, Ashley Lachey Elkins' former boyfriend is in custody, still has not gone to trial. Not sure they'll have enough evidence for trial. Suzanne Clark Simpson's husband is in custody, is going to trial soon, Brad Simpson. And Anna Walsh's husband, Brian Walsh, is in custody, has been for 3 years, just pled, and I will be talking about this Friday night, just pled guilty to manipulating a corpse, to disposing of a corpse, which was very stunning and shocking. And I'll be talking about this more on Friday as to why I believe that his defense counsel recommended that he plead guilty for 2 of the charges. So 2 of the charges are now not going to trial. Only the murder charge is going to trial, which starts December 1st. This is a very shocking development just yesterday. And this is Sarah Ebersol, still missing, presumed deceased. I believe it was a domestic violence situation. That's what I believe. That's where the evidence points to me, but she is still missing, and her daughter is in the custody of the person that I believe is possibly a suspect in her disappearance. So Suzanne Morphew on the far left was found. She was missing for a number of years. Her husband is in jail, but was released on a signature bond, Barry Morphew. His court case will be coming up, I believe, in February. Ellen Greenberg was blamed for her own unaliving, 20 stab wounds. There's no way that this beautiful woman unalived herself. No way. So there has been no justice for Ellen's family. They have been fighting for justice since 2011. And Sandra Birchmore, the person that framed her for her own unaliving, is in jail, but is planning to plead not guilty and blame her and say that she did unalive herself. And it's a major problem because the state of Massachusetts has not charged this man. The federal government has charged this man with unaliving of Sandra and grooming her since she was 15 as a police officer and her unborn child. But the state of Massachusetts has not seen it in their preview to charge this man yet. They are actually standing by him and believing that she unalived herself, and the evidence does not agree. So we'll be talking much more in the coming months about all of these beautiful women who were unalived by the hands of someone else, as well as Mallery and Major. So I want to thank you all so much for joining us tonight. Thank you to Mary. Thank you to all of you that advocate for your families, for your friends, for anyone that you know, and for those that you don't know, but that you feel compelled to advocate for justice. Thank you all so much. And I'll be back Friday night with Friday Night Lies, and I will let you know when our next Wednesday episode will be airing with Mary, and we'll get into all of the rest of this very twisted, tragic death of Major and Mallery. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you. You have a good Thanksgiving.
You as well. I'll probably be speaking to you before that, but thank you.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you, everyone. Again, I appreciate all of you. Thank you to everyone who subscribes. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do. It's free, and it helps our algorithm. The more subscribers we have, the more people see our channel, the more advocating we can do for all of these beautiful people that I just spoke about. So I will be back Friday night with Friday Night Lies. We have a lot to talk about. The Brian Walsh situation is very shocking. There is updates from the from Karen Reed. She is suing a lot of people named McAlberts, which is Alberts and McCabe's. And this situation with Sandra Birchmore with Matthew Farwell now that we believe he's going to plead not guilty, and the defense is going to basically throw Sandra Birchmore under the bus and blame her for her own unaliving of her and her own child, which there's no way in hell she did. I'm telling you 100% that she did not do that. And there's more updates coming from the Suzanne Morphew that I'll kind of let you know about too at the end of Friday Night Lies. But most of Friday Night Lies will be focused on the state of Massachusetts. So many updates coming out this week. Well, I'm out of breath. I'm tired. I'm sad. I'm frustrated. But we have to keep going. We have to keep advocating for families and for the friends and the loved ones of those that have been unalived by the hands of someone else, because they are telling us from where they are now in heaven and at rest and at peace, my life mattered. I'll see you all again very soon. It's just us.
They try to silence the truth we shout, but we're still here, we're still calling out. Corruption hides behind a badge of name. We light the fire, expose the shame. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life mattered is the cry we sing for the ones they tried to bury within. It's just us, we're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run nor hide. The stories echo, the pain runs deep. For stolen lives we can't just weep. Elected power, but their hearts are cold. We'll bring the truth, let it be told. We're My life matters, the cry we sing, for the ones they try to bury within. It's just us, we're movement wide. Together we rise, won't run nor hide. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight. The heroes undo the harm, calling out corruption, we'll stand tall. For justice and truth, we'll risk it all. My